Welcome. Sorry about that. Screen froze. Welcome, everybody, to the very first edition of the Gridiron Address. I'm your host, Aaron Schneider. Now, joining me today is the host of Quick Hits and Boom Broadcasting partner, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty. Shannon, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready to talk some football.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. And last but certainly not least, I'm glad to have him on, even though he's wearing that nasty jersey he's got over there. The one and only president of Boom Broadcasting, Michael Davis. Michael, how are you doing, especially after that Cowboys win?
Dude, especially after that Cowboys win, I was really worried. Believe it or not, I was really worried. I agreed to come on the first ever Gridiron Address and was like, if Dallas loses, I'm gonna have to fake sick or something. Like, just like in 2 minutes, guys, I have a huge headache. I got COVID. Whatever the case was.
I probably could have got Chris on, in all honesty. I feel like he would have been down.
He totally will be down. He definitely will be back. He'll do his baseball show dugout debrief debuts this week. But dude, Aaron, I'm happy for you, man. It's been a long time coming. You got your own show, and I'm excited to see what you cook up here.
Appreciate that. And real quick, I just want to give a little bit of background on how I got here and why these two are the first guests that I wanted to have on my show. A few weeks after I had met Michael at App State, I finally got on an episode of Outta Pocket, and we were talking about Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. And I was going into that episode thinking, man, no one backs Stroud. I think I'm going into this alone. I was prepared to fight for my life and defend that opinion with everything I had. And Shannon was on there, and he backed me up with it, and that was amazing. So I had to have these two on. Going back to that.
Well, dude,
go ahead, Michael.
Well, it's been awesome. Dude, you and Carson were the first people to take that opportunity to come on, and from that app class that I got to speak to, and I'm so excited. Also, people know that we are live on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel, so you can interact with us just like Wayne did, saying "Evening, gentlemen." So, yeah, dude, I'm excited to talk some football.
Nice. So, starting off, as I am a Panthers fan, that means that every episode of the Gridiron Address, we're going to be talking about the Panthers game, and we have an absolute doozy of a game to cover from week one. Final score 47-10, struggling at every level, outmatched on special teams, offense, defense, coaching. It was horrendous from start to finish. Michael, let's hear your opinions first.
Well, it was really bad. I was on note last week saying that, yeah, the Panthers were going to come out. Dave Canales was going to get Bryce Young right, and that just didn't happen. I was shocked. I should have started Raheed Shaheed in one of my fantasy leagues, actually two of them. It would have helped me out a lot. It was rough. That should have been a lot closer game, especially inside the division. And I've talked Panthers for so long with Shan, so I'm excited to see what he has to say about it.
Yeah, my biggest issue from that game is, I felt like we saw some improvement from the offensive line, and that's not to say that unit was not problematic all game, but it was better. And I felt like we saw from Bryce Young, with an ounce of pressure, he would panic and he would roll out. And granted, part of that is that he might not be able to really see over his offensive lineman. So, he has to get out of the pocket to actually be able to see down the field. And I think I heard the announcers talking about how they're trying to design plays for him where he just rolls out so he can actually see, because Bryce Young is a really good processor. They just need to design the offense to where he can actually excel, and the offensive line needs to give him adequate protection. Now, defense. I felt like everyone was bad. Shannon, what did you think about the Panthers defense from week one?
They were on an island. I really think that they were. There was no production from the offense, and the defense was hung out to dry. Now, mind you, this is a new look defense. So we don't have the same contributors that we had last year. So I get that. But the thing about it is that this defense was they're getting adjusted, but they were on an island for most of the time. I'm not saying that to make an excuse because you got to go out there and you got to play, you got to hit, you got to get every man to the ball. There were times where the New Orleans Saints got open, and there were times where Derek Carr had time to throw the ball. It's got to be the pass rush. They got to get to the ball. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Carolina needs to get out of a 3-4 defense. Get away from it. Go to a 4-3. Go back to where you were. Because if you're a Carolina Panther fan, you will know that most of the success that Carolina's had on defense is when they had a 4-3 defense. I've seen it. I saw the work. I've been there before. They need to go back to a 4-3. The 3-4 is not working. I don't care how it is. Go back to a 4-3.
Can you think of a good defense that is 3-4 in the NFL? It feels like every other defense is 4-3 for the most part.
Yes, they're a stacked 4-3 or they're a 4-3 under. Most of them go with the nickel package as well too, with 4 down linemen. So there's no need for them to be a 3-4 defense. I mean, it's not the scheme itself. I know a 3-4 defense adds more speed because your linebackers are faster guys. But let's be honest right here. There's not the speed that Carolina has is not the speed that, say, the 49ers have or, say, even the Cowboys have. They don't have that speed in the front 7. So you're going to run a squad that is not catered to your speed. Run a heavier option as in 4-3 because you got 4 down linemen. You can make those plays in the backfield with the linemen that they have. There's no need for them to go 3-4. I don't see a 3-4 defense that would work. I don't see how that scheme works for the Panthers. It doesn't. So it's got to go.
I completely agree with you. And thinking back to, like the mid 2010s when the Panthers were like a consistently stout team, they always had a solid defense and they weren't running a 3-4 defense back when they were actually a good team. It was 4-3. They had good pass rushers. Charles Johnson, he was great for Carolina. But to bring it back to their offense, to close out this Panthers recap that has been an excruciating 7 minutes for me, how much of the offensive struggles do you think could be placed on Bryce Young?
Shane, you want to take that one?
You sure about that?
Please take it. I want to hear this.
I mean, I gotta save a good bit of it for the Cat Cave coming up this week because Ryan and I were talking as soon as I got off work. He was like, "Bro, we got an episode to cover." I said, "You better believe it. I'm ready." I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. Now, we talked about this, Mike. We've had this conversation before. I mean, you and Ryan have had this episode. We've had this talk on the Cat Cave where we're saying that if you put anybody on that Panthers offense last year, that they were not doing nothing. Like, it doesn't matter who you put back there. They were doing absolutely nothing. You could have primetime Brady. You can have Steve Berline from the 90s squad. You can have anybody on that squad that you want. You can have CJ Stroud on that squad. They're not getting any of the productivity. They're not getting good productivity from that offense. Now, I will say this after today. I guarantee you CJ Stroud would do a better job than Bryce Young would have done. Guarantee you hands down. And even better. Put Bryce Young on that Houston Texans offense, there wouldn't be anything. I think we got to chunk it up to the fact that he's not it. But we have to do it. And I hate to say that in such an early game. Hopefully I eat my words. I hope I do. But I don't think so. I just don't see it. That first interception, that first pass he threw an interception. He's going off the field. He's smiling and all that other stuff. Look, I get it. Optimism's got to be there. But see, I'm sorry. I'm a different dude when I go to work. Y'all getting the fun side of me. Y'all getting the great side of me. Y'all get the good side. You don't get my occupational side. If you have my occupational side, you probably think differently of me. You would, because when I'm in work, I'm in dog mode. He was not in dog mode. I did not see a dog at all in him, and there was no dog whatsoever. Get him out of there. Gone.
By the way, shout out real quick, all the people watching us right now. Wayne's in the comments, Rick 8-Bit, Joseph, Booking Like a Mark, all in the comments right now while we're live for the first Gridiron Address, covering the NFL's Week 1, hosted by Aaron Schneider. Guys, this is awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the support, y'all. And it's only going to get better from here. I guarantee it. And back to your point about Bryce Young, that's something I was struggling with all day. It feels too early to place that bust label on him, which he potentially could be. But we've also seen players leave the Carolina Panthers recently and go on to have success. Joe Brady was a coordinator who left Carolina. He was a victim of the Matt Rule era. He's in Buffalo now. He's doing significantly better over there than he ever did in Carolina. We just saw Sam Darnold have like a really solid game of football for the Vikings. He had an interception. He was better than I expected him to be, in all honesty. So I'm just worried that Carolina might cut Bryce Young off too early, and then we see him succeed. If we don't see improvement from him this year, I do think we have to cut him or trade him, just cut him off from the team. But it's painful to waste such a high draft pick, the number 1 overall draft pick, on a quarterback for him to fizzle out in 2 years.
Oh, Aaron, you're absolutely right. He is going to see success outside of Carolina Panthers in the UFL.
Ooh, that was a little mean. I mean,
hey, you know who came out of the UFL?
Yeah, exactly.
Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon Aubrey, exactly.
And this is why I say this right here. This is why I say this. Warren Moon, when he came out of college, went to Canada, got better. Steve Young, USFL, got better. Dude, hey, I hate to turn this to wrestling. I hate to do this right here, Mike. I hate to turn this to wrestling. Send him to NXT. Let him develop. Let him get better. Come back soon.
Oh,
we just have no guys. I'm serious. Sometimes we just got to chunk up these guys that are just not good. He went to Alabama, for God's sake. Name me a quarterback out of Alabama that's actually doing something right now.
Tua.
He's the only one. Out of how many?
Well, there was the one you asked for. There was the one you asked for.
Out of how many? Where's Mac Jones? What's up, man? Mac Jones, where you at? Oh, I'm sorry. Playing the Pine. Greg McElroy played the Pine. I can go on and on if you'd like. Can we go? Nick Saban has built these guys up. They got monster runners, wonderful defenses, wide receivers that do well. Where their quarterbacks at?
And segueing on from that with Sam Darnold, some notable points from the early slate of games at the top of the list. Is Sam Darnold actually good at football? Unlike what I have gone on record multiple times and said otherwise, was this just a one-off performance because exactly he was playing the Giants, and the Giants are, for a lack of a better term, just a sorry team? Michael, do you think that this is something that Darnold could replicate in the future, or was it more of a one-off performance?
Well, let's look at it and let's give a fair shake. And this is why I don't think the Panthers should move on from Bryce Young so quickly. But Darnold had the Jets and they had the Panthers. And he was a backup for San Fran. He didn't like have a real opportunity to play because Brock Purdy's doing good. Shannon knows about that. But I feel like with J.J. McCarthy out for the year, torn meniscus, Sam Darnold has one of the best receivers in the NFL in Justin Jefferson. He has Aaron Jones in the backfield, a top 10, top 15 running back in the NFL. You got Jordan Addison if he can stay out of trouble. You got TJ Hawkinson if he can stay healthy. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom for Sam Darnold, but also, again, the Giants are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're the worst.
You know, I might have to disagree with you on the worst. If Carolina keeps playing how they played week 1, I think there's no shot that Carolina isn't the worst team in the NFL if they play like they did this week, which I hope to God they don't, because I cannot put up with 16 games of that kind of football. I don't know. I might not love football after a season of that. It would be hard. I don't know if I'm built for it like Browns and Lions fans are. That is rough. Deshaun Watson would become from the CFL after today's performance. Honestly, I back that. I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan. Looking back a few years, I kind of wanted Carolina to trade for him when we were in the middle of a terrible quarterback situation. I am thrilled that they did not touch that man, because $230 million fully guaranteed for that kind of a performance is ridiculous.
Dude, and I just got done watching that game, and I might expand more of it on Outta Pocket tomorrow when we go live. But dude, I'm okay if like your first game back and you're struggling or whatever. His body language that game was just awful. Like, he wasn't talking to his teammates before the game. He was quiet, sitting on the bench by himself. And throughout the game, every play, it got to him. And I would be really concerned if I was a Cleveland fan.
You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. That man does not want to be in Cleveland.
He's getting paid stupid money to be in Cleveland, though.
Of course he is. I mean, for real, but he don't want to be there.
He's got to at least act like he wants to be there if he's making $230 million.
Oh, Aaron, I get it. He should act like he needs to be there, but that man does not want to be in Cleveland. He don't. Not at all. So I get it. I understand. He should at least give an effort, but that man don't want to be there. You can tell by the way he was playing today. He did not want to be there, man. Dallas ate his lunch all day long. He was missing guys left and right. Beat a guy on the go route at the very end of the game. Didn't find him at all. It's all about finding your receivers. This is the reason why I kind of have the problem that I have with Bryce. Bryce wasn't finding nobody. Bryce wasn't finding anyone. Same with Deshaun Watson. He wasn't finding anybody. Sam Darnold was finding guys. Yes, I get it. He has one of the best and brightest receivers in the NFL. I get it. Sam Darnold actually has a squad that he can actually play with and everything. He has guys that can perform. The NFC North has the potential to be a gauntlet this year. They have the potential to be that. They might be, they might not be. Depends on Chicago. Now, did they benefit off of a garbage team playing today? Of course. But that's okay. You can't fault that for them. I mean, I'd tear them up too if I was Minnesota. And, I mean, let's just hope that – but this is the funny part right here. Does Brian LaFleur like Sam Darnold better than he does Tua Tagovailoa?
Wow. Outta Pocket, by the way. Outta Pocket. Oh, wrong show. Rick 8-Bit saying Watson's dad passed. So I just looked that up. That is true. That's the first I've heard of it. That's terrible. That is terrible. We're not making light of that situation because that is horrible. So maybe that was the body language. Rick 8-Bit always keeps us honest.
He still don't want to be there though. He still don't want to be in Cleveland. He still don't want to be there.
Because I mean, even looking back to the little bit that he has played with Cleveland, he has looked like a shell of himself. He used to be, I feel like he was top 5 at one point at his peak. He was an amazing quarterback, and he got hurt and is nothing close to what he used to be. But segueing on real quick, I see where we've been talking a lot longer than I thought we have been, honestly.
It's just fun.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
It's all good. I appreciate it. Rookie wide receivers. Now, this was a pretty deep wide receiver class. We had some guys with some solid games, but what really shocked me was Marvin Harrison Jr. with only 1 catch for 4 yards. First receiver off the board, only 3 targets to have a game like that in his debut. Shannon, what are your thoughts? I see you laughing in the corner. I got to hear from you on this one.
Saw it coming. Once again, look who's throwing him the ball. Kyler Murray. I didn't sit back Kool-Aid with Arizona. No. Kyler Murray ain't that dude. Kyler Murray got the same thing that's going on with Bryce Young. He ain't that dude. He's 100% not him.
Is that a short joke?
No.
I feel like he is.
He's just garbage.
He's at least an athletic Bryce Young, because to kick it back to Bryce Young, his athleticism is concerning at the NFL level. It just doesn't look like he can really cut it as a scrambler, and when he's constantly under pressure, you need to be fast if you're going to be playing behind a atrocious offensive line, and he might not have that. I wasn't expecting Marvin Harrison Jr. to have a crazy game because I don't really like Kyler Murray that much either. I don't think he's very good. He'll probably be out of the league in a couple years once the Cardinals get sick of him.
Yeah.
But I expected more I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is an incredibly talented wide receiver, and that's why I was expecting more out of him. I thought that his talent would can't see him. You're not wrong, but I thought his talent would elevate that Cardinals offense enough to where he could actually put up some solid numbers. Like Malik Neighbors had 5 catches, 66 yards on that atrocious Giants offense. So, I mean, is Daniel Jones better than Kyler Murray? Who knows?
No.
No.
Dude, the Kyler slander by mouth off of the mic and you right there. I mean, Kyler's not good. Kyler's not average, but he's better than Daniel Jones. Like,
of course.
come on.
Of course he is. Yes.
And that's coming from a Duke guy.
But yet and still, I mean, yeah, and this is coming from a Carolina guy. He went to the wrong school. But other than that, well, why you trust a Duke quarterback? Name me a Duke quarterback. You can't. He's the only one. But with that being, and that's for the Mitchell Trubisky stuff right there, sir, and for the Drake May stuff too. So you got that coming right there. It takes two of us to have
those are your UNC quarterbacks. They aren't that good.
Nah, man, but it takes two. For every Duke quarterback, there's like 12 UNC quarterbacks that came and left. Wahoo! So I mean, you got one, y'all, and you got one. You're gonna have one leave. You're gonna be joining the Carolina quarterbacks. So hey, enjoy. Have you some popcorn and have you a soda and enjoy it. Enjoy it.
While we're on wide receivers, we could not do this show and not talk about what happened with Tyreek Hill on his way to Hard Rock Stadium. Gets detained, not arrested. I had to fix that in the rundown. I saw someone put arrested, but 7 catches, 130 yards with an 80-yard touchdown to boot. Insane performance. Carson said it in our group chat, host of the Lombardi Party. You should go check that out on Broadcasting. But he said Tyreek Hill was going to go off, and he was spot on. Monster game after a terrible start to his day. I mean, to go out and perform like that after what happened to him hours before I feel like that's unheard of. I mean, have you seen players get detained for speeding? And also, what was just a massive over-escalation? If you've seen the video, it was absurd what Miami PD did for what was a speeding ticket. But, Michael, I want to hear from you first on that and then kick it to Shannon.
It might be a mistake to hear from me first, but we'll try. If Tyreek Hill got arrested for speeding on the highway, he should have gotten arrested for speeding past that defense. 80-yard touchdown. I mean, I know he got flagged for this a couple years ago when he went peace. Dude, I would have thrown up that peace sign and just went. I mean, dude, and this is no disrespect to our police system or whatever, but they're almost tax collectors at this point. I don't know how recklessly he was driving. I don't know all the details or anything like that. But come on, man. Like, I'm glad he was able to play mouth off of the mic with the handcuffed TD.
That was crazy. I loved it.
Dude, I was so happy to see Tyreek Hill get on the field and just, it was so epic fashion, just an 80-yard touchdown. And that was a big turnaround in that game. Like, Travis Etienne was about to run into the end zone, go up 3 scores, 17 points. Fumbles like a yard before the end zone. Miami recovers. Very next play, 80-yard touchdown for Tyreek Hill. And that changed the complexion of the game. That gave the Miami Dolphins a 2017 victory. And kudos. Like, I absolutely love that.
It was great. Shannon, anything to add on to that?
He had to be working out a deal with them. Like, hey, look, you let me off the hook, man. I'm going to go in there and win this game for y'all. So I think that's what was said and done. He was just practicing, man. He was going to practice for the defense, you know. He outran them. And I tell you what, that 80 yards took the air right out of Jacksonville because they were cooking at first. Jacksonville was cooking. They had them down. And then all of a sudden, Cheetah decided to do what he does. and he just blew past that defense, and you could just see the game changed, just like MD said. The game changed. It pretty much took a chunk out of that team. They had a lot of momentum. Jacksonville's still young. They're still getting into their stages of winning. And with a squad like Miami, who is built for speed, high-powered offense, they can get out of a deficit. You don't want to get in a shootout with this squad because they'll beat you, hands down. So with that happening there, Tyreek did his thing. He's the best receiver in the game. I got to say he's the best receiver. Fastest guy in the league. I mean, I dare say fastest man in the world. Possibly. Could be. Might not be.
Track speed is different speed.
It is. It's very much. It really is. I don't think he's going to beat our fastest man. I don't think he'll beat Noah. I don't think he beat Noah. And he's talking about racing him. But you know what I'm saying? He's a little busy right now. So maybe later. So who knows? But yeah, best receiver in the game, hands down.
And real quick, we are going to have a little rapid fire segment. Shannon, what are your thoughts about the Patriots upsetting the Bengals and the clear offensive struggles that the Bengals had today?
Joe's still having trouble with that line. I'm mad because I started Joe and Joe did absolutely nothing for me on fantasy football. I'm kind of mad about that. I had Dak on my bench, and yeah, I know I got somebody here, and I'm not going to say who's going to rub it in my face. I get it. But yeah, I thought it was comical, to be honest with you. Joe's still having trouble with that line. Jamar Chase didn't do well in that game. 5 catches, 34 yards, I think is what he finished with. I might be wrong, but there was nothing going on. T. Higgins still hurt. Really nobody to pass the ball to. Joe Mixon is going to Houston. It's going to be tough for Cincinnati. I don't think Joe can do it all on his own, especially when he's got guys breathing down his neck because his offensive line ain't blocking nothing. So, I mean, with New England giving you fits like that on defense, that really makes me wonder about Pittsburgh, who has a pass rush that is great, and the Ravens, who can get after you, and Cleveland that can get after you as well too. So I mean, Joe got to run. Let's just hope he can do it.
Mm-hmm. That actually works as a perfect segue for our next little rapid fire comment. The Pittsburgh Steelers get the most Pittsburgh Steeler win possible. Just an ugly game. Their offense looked as bad as it has ever looked, and their defense carried them to victory like they always carry them to victory. Michael, what do you have to say about that rough Steelers performance?
Well, thanks for picking one of the games I got wrong on Outta Pocket this past week, and that graphic's up on the socials now for everybody to see how bad I was. The only one I really cared about was the Cowboys one. But, dude, I'm more disappointed in Atlanta. I know it wasn't a good, coaching hire for Raheem Morris, and, of course, there's 16 more games to go in the NFL year. But, man, how do you have Bijan Robinson, Drake London? You just got Kirk Cousins back. You have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was the only guy who scored your touchdown. That, of all the people, of all the weapons, it was Kyle Pitts, man. It said more about Atlanta's deficiencies than it did for Pittsburgh moving forward.
Actually, yeah, it was. I was shocked to see Kyle Pitts actually score, and Drake London. I have him in multiple fantasy leagues because I was expecting good things out of him. And I believe I started him in 2 leagues out of 4, and I'm going to lose those 2 leagues, partially because Devon Achane, he popped off, and I'm playing Wayne, who I know is in here. He's he's thrilled about it. I might get our dynasty win. I think I'm losing the redraft, though, in all honesty. It's not looking too great.
I'm just saying, don't talk trash about my fantasy teams until you fix yours. What's that plank in your eye?
And also, real quick for Michael, what do you think Dallas did well in their win against Cleveland, facing a really stout defense and still putting up 33 points?
Dude, we play defense, and I don't know what was happening to Cleveland's offense. I don't know what necessarily riled that team. I know they were missing their 2 starting tackles, but they got after it. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously going to show up, but you had Marshawn Nealon, the 2nd round pick, with a lot of pressures on the quarterback. You had Overshown running around, making plays. He was redshirted his rookie year due to a knee injury, came back and looked like the guy we saw in college. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, dude, Zeke got one of the 11 touchdowns I predicted. He's going to make a big difference. And Dak looked comfortable. There was only maybe a 2 or 3 throws throughout the entire game where I'm like, for the rest of the game, he looked on it, especially that touchdown to Brandon Cooks was absolutely like on the money. He anticipated that throw right on the money. And Brandon Aubrey should have been able to tie that longest field goal in NFL history. Man.
I wanted to see them let him try and kick that 71-yarder. I got really excited for a second because if anyone's going to make it at this point, it's either going to be him or Justin Tucker, I feel like. And I don't know if Baltimore is going to be in a situation where they'd have to kick a 71-yard field goal. So I was hoping to see someone at least try. I feel like that would have been really cool.
I think he could have done it. Legit. I think he could have done it.
Honestly, it would have been worth a shot. I understand not wanting to risk giving up a touchdown if they manage to return it.
Get that kick six. Get that kick six.
Kick six is rough. Just ask Bama. Moving on to our preview for tonight's game, Lions-Rams. The last matchup between these two teams was a 24-23 victory for the Lions in last year's wild card round. Shannon, what are you expecting from this game tonight?
I'm expecting Detroit to carve them up. I think Detroit will carve them up, man. Detroit is back on a mission still. I think the Rams will probably be the second best team in the NFC West. I'm not counting them out because the way Sean McVay, how offensively sound he is as a coach. There's a reason why a 5th-round pick of Puka Nacua had almost 1,400 yards last year, and it's not because the man is not talented. He is. He's very talented. I think he'll have more yards than Coop this year. I really think he will. But the reason why he was able to get those yards is because somebody like Sean McVay knows how to get guys open. Cooper Kupp getting those guys open. He knows how to do it. He can orchestrate a passing game. He knows what he's doing. So I do expect some offense from the Rams. I'm not saying the Rams aren't going to put up any points. I'm not going to say they're going to get blanked because I doubt that, because I don't think Detroit's defense is that stout. But the Rams have a very stout offense, but Detroit has a more stout offense. They're fast. They're still bitter after last year. They're going to go for it. And Dan Campbell is a dog of a coach. I think that he is a dog. They're going to be something to be reckoned with. And I think they're going to begin it with the Rams this year. They're going to beat them. I think they'll beat them by at least 20, I would say.
At 20. Do you have a final score prediction in mind for that?
I want to say I'll go 37-17.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I really think it's going to be some scores in there. I think Detroit shows their offense. I think that the Jared Goff hate will probably stop around this year because the man can throw, the man can play. And I think that the Rams traded him. I think the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade was the same guy, in my opinion, because they're both good quarterbacks. They both get down the field. They both have strong arms. They know how to orchestrate a drive. So I think that basically both teams got the same guy, just differently.
Nice. Michael, your thoughts on tonight's game and a final score prediction?
Well, I just want to go to my predictions on Outta Pocket this past Friday, because that'll tell you how good I am at predictions. First and foremost, got the Packers one wrong. I was the only one on that panel to get it wrong. Steelers Falcons got it wrong. Colts Texans, only one to get that wrong. Raiders Chargers got that wrong. The only two games, the only two games I've gotten right so far. Hey, I'm honest, okay? I hold myself accountable. Stop laughing, Shannon.
No,
you're cracking me up.
How you're saying it? I'm not laughing at the fact that you're wrong. It's just how you're saying it. Yeah, got this one wrong.
Yeah, I was the only one on the panel to get this wrong.
Hey, the only two games I've gotten right. are the games that everybody else picked the same. So I can't win my predictions this week on Outta Pocket. I think the only one, man, it's honestly, I think it's between Wayne and Chris right now for predictions. So kudos. I gotta go and do some math. Math is hard for me, including NFL predictions. Rick 8-bit, I would love that sub maybe one time, but let me get into the groove first. So I picked the Rams. So that should tell you that the Lions probably win tonight. But I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna double down that the LA Rams show up, show out. Sean McVay reminds people that he is a good NFL coach, and they win this game. Are you ready for this? 41-37.
That's steep, to say the least. I'm inclined to agree with Shannon. I'm picking the Lions. I'm feeling 31-20 Lions. I think the Lions will take care of business. It'll be a 2-score win. Easy. Yeah, no, Chris is good. I can't wait to do the math and check to see what me and Chris's predictions look like on our Instagram account that is at Football and More.
Ooh, you should definitely check that out. I just did math, okay?
Oh,
tonight
is it right?
He has only missed one this week so far. Has a great show coming up, Dugout Debrief this Thursday. Chris debuts a show on Boom Broadcasting this week, but also Wayne debuts a show on Boom Broadcasting this week called the Sideline Savants, okay? The only game Chris has missed was the Raiders-Chargers. The only game Wayne has missed is the Falcons-Steelers. So tonight, Chris has the Rams, Wayne has the Lions. The winner of that wins the first week of Outta Pocket NFL predictions. So, wow, the two new guys showing up.
Nice. And last bit to close us out for the first episode, I just want to touch on the Monday night game real quick. Shannon's a 49ers guy. I would feel bad if we didn't really touch on that game at all. Shannon, Aaron Rodgers returning from an Achilles tear. Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk will both be playing. What are you expecting from your San Francisco 49ers on Monday night?
I expect a win. I expect a convincing win as well, too. The reason being is not to knock a great player like Aaron Rodgers. He's done great in the NFL. He's done very well as a quarterback for the Packers. He's been well. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Hall of Famer. We know that. He's been a consistently winnable quarterback. However, his Achilles heel is those San Francisco 49ers. Doesn't matter where. Doesn't matter when. He just can't beat them. Doesn't matter who's the quarterback. Colin Kaepernick. Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy. Doesn't matter. Just can't do it. I expect them not to do it. And plus, another thing also, too, I think the Jets are really putting themselves in over their heads, putting their franchise on a 40-year-old quarterback with a bad leg. I think that's a bad move. I really think it is, but it's the Jets we're talking about, so I get it. But this will probably come back and get the Jets. The Jets have to find a way to rebound from this because I think this will be Aaron Rodgers' last year. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Now, I'm not saying that because I wish for someone to get injured. That's not my forte. That's not what I do. However, at 40 years old, and this is coming from a guy who's 38, the waking up and getting up out of the bed is not as fast as it is when you're 28. 24, 18, the aches and pains get a little rough, especially in the game of football. So I just hope Aaron Rodgers is ready because my 49ers will be here. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
And on that note, that will do it for week 1 of the Gridiron Address. Thank you, everybody who's watched. I really appreciate it. Be sure to check out Boom Broadcasting for 2 great shows debuting this week. Dugout Debrief and the Sideline Savants from Chris DeLuca and Wayne Thomas. This has been your host, Aaron Schneider, Shannon Smith, and Michael Davis. Have a great night, and let's go watch a great game of football.